Under the dim morning light of the South Hebron Hills, the wind carries the sound of distant construction, the hum of machinery, the clang of metal, and somewhere between these echoes stands Basil Adra, an Oscar-winning Palestinian filmmaker. His camera rests on a tripod trained on the horizon where red-roofed Israeli settlements meet the scattered homes of the Bedouin village of al-Khair. The lens, he says, has become his only form of defense. For years, Adra has filmed what he calls Israeli impunity, the daily life of Palestinians living under occupation, their demolitions, their displacements, their despair. His latest project, No Other Land, co-directed with Israeli filmmaker Yuval Avraham, has turned into a symbol of shared defiance and controversy. The film, which won an Oscar earlier this year, documents the destruction of Palestinian homes and the silence of those who watch it unfold. He stands before the camera, a man in his late 20s, soft-spoken but unwavering. The world, he says quietly, is removing the embarrassment from the Israelis and enabling them to escape punishment for committing crimes against us Palestinians, against a people suffering under occupation. His words are sharp, but behind them is exhaustion, the fatigue of years spent capturing injustice with little hope of change. In Tuwani, a small hamlet surrounded by military checkpoints, Basil gestures toward the hills. There in the distance glimmers the settlement of Ma'on, built on land Palestinians once tilled for generations. To reach al-Khair, the Bedouin village he visits, one must pass through that settlement. A narrow road winds through barbed wire and military posts. Even visiting our neighbours, he explains, is an act of resistance. Al-Khair itself is a fragile cluster of tin-roofed homes and solar panels. Children play beside water tanks, their laughter occasionally drowned out by the roar of nearby bulldozers. Around 200 people live here, families who trace their roots to the Negev desert, from where their ancestors were expelled in the 1952. They were told to leave for a few days, Adra recounts, and 70 years later, they're still not allowed to return. The camera pans slowly over the landscape, olive trees, parched earth, and the stark separation between two worlds. In one, paved roads and running water. In the other, tents and makeshift stoves. This contrast, Adra says, tells the story of occupation better than any speech could. When people abroad see this, he continues, they ask, how can this exist in the 21st century? He recalls his childhood belief in justice, a belief that international law would protect the oppressed. I had a strong belief in international law when I was young, he says. I believe that when the material I document is shown abroad, someone will do something about it. That hope, however, has faded over time. The footage may travel the world, but the bulldozers never stop. Still, he keeps filming. His camera rolls as Israeli soldiers patrol the edge of the village, their presence a reminder of how fragile life can be. For Basil, documentation is both survival and testimony, a way to ensure that no one can later claim ignorance. If I stop filming, he says, it's as if we never existed. Each frame in No Other Land captures moments that rarely make headlines. The fear in a child's eyes as soldiers approach, the quiet dignity of elders who refuse to leave their land, the silent grief after another demolition. The film has resonated far beyond Palestine, earning critical acclaim in Europe and sparking heated debate in Israel. For Basil, the Oscar win was not a victory, it was a platform. I don't celebrate, he admits. I see it as a responsibility. The world is watching, but still doing nothing. As he guides the AFP journalists through al-Khair, he pauses by a demolished home, a pile of concrete, twisted rebar, and children's shoes. This used to be my neighbour's house, he says softly. It was built with permission, but they destroyed it anyway. They said it violated security regulations. What security threat can a kitchen pose? The camera lingers on his face, calm, resigned, but unbroken. Behind him, an Israeli flag flutters on a distant outpost. For many Palestinians, that flag is not a symbol of security, it's a reminder of exclusion. They have walls, soldiers, and the law, he says. We only have memory. The documentary's impact lies not in grand speeches, but in these small human stories. The woman who clings to her olive trees as bulldozers approach, the shepherd whose flock has been cut off from grazing land, the children who draw maps of lost villages. Basil captures them all, believing that collective memory is the last refuge of an occupied people. The voiceover deepens, drawing the audience into the silence between his words. The West Bank is home to about 3 million Palestinians and more than 500,000 Israeli settlers. The settlements deemed illegal under international law continue to expand. Roads reserved for settlers carve through Palestinian land, creating what human rights groups call a patchwork of controlled zones. For every demolished home, Basil says, a new red-roofed house rises nearby, proof that the imbalance of power is not just political, it's visible. Yet even amid the hardship, there is resilience. In al-Khair, women bake bread in outdoor ovens, children run barefoot between tents, and elders gather for tea under a lone acacia tree. We are still here, one villager tells him. We are the roots they can't pull out. For Basil, moments like these are why he continues filming. His documentary is not just about oppression, it's about endurance. To live under occupation, he reflects, is to resist forgetting. The voiceover transitions to the sound of wind brushing over hills, the call to prayer echoing faintly in the distance. It's a landscape both timeless and wounded. Each frame captures not only suffering, but also identity, the sense of belonging that no checkpoint can erase. As evening falls, the horizon glows with the orange light of the setting sun. Basil packs his camera, his lens now covered in dust. Every day I film, he says, I remind myself that someone has to witness this. He believes that storytelling, even if ignored, is a duty. If I give up, he adds, they win not just the land, but our voice. The narration concludes with an image of the filmmaker walking away, his camera slung over his shoulder, framed by the twilight of the hills. The wind carries his parting words. I document because silence is the worst form of complicity. Over the final minutes, the camera drifts between scenes, children laughing beside a broken water pipe, a mother sweeping dust from her doorway, an old man mending a fence under the watch of an Israeli watchtower. The voiceover softens. The story of the West Bank is not just about conflict. It's about people trying to live ordinary lives under extraordinary pressure. It's about a filmmaker who chose to turn pain into proof and despair into evidence. Through his camera, Basil Adra tells the world what it often refuses to see, that occupation is not an event, it's a daily reality. As the screen fades to black, the echo of his voice remains, no other land, only this one, and we are not leaving.